Hello there! It's the spookiest Friday of the year! Which means it's time, once again, for the best movie podcast ever. The only movie podcast to offer objective and hyperbole-free discussion of every movie in the known universe. I am your host, the podcaster with no name, Konrad. And with me, as always, he has the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. It's Anthony James.
How are you, Konrad?
You've done that several times in this recording session, and I can't tell if you are doing a send-up of the Monster Mash.
That's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing.
I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Walking in the lamb lived one night. Yeah, sure. Okay.
I don't know the words.
We're all in on the joke now. The only words I know are, he did the mash, it was the Monster Mash. And I think there's something about a graveyard smash in there as well. But
yeah, I think there is something about a graveyard smash, yeah.
We're doing... There is a graveyard in the movie that we're going to talk about, actually. There is a very prominently featured gravestone, in fact. We're talking about that there, John Carpenter movie. You know it, we know it, we're here to talk about it. It's Halloween. It's Halloween, and it's gonna... This is Halloween! And that's the movie that we're going to talk about. It's one of my favourite movies. I'm not going to lie, I'm already leading off with it. Anthony, I suspect we've had hints from you, Anthony, prior to this about your standing on this movie, and I can't wait to get into it because I think there might be friction. There could be friction on this episode. It could be dicey,
yes,
and undiplomatic. So I say, without further ado, let's talk about some gosh darn movies.
We will do that in a second. I just want to say, guys,
How dare you?
Don't judge me for this episode. I'm leaving my brain at the door. Okay, I'm just gonna go fully on emotion and experience for this one.
Okay.
Do not judge me too harshly. Let's do it.
Movies. We're at the end of the spooky season. You've made it through. You've made it through the wilderness. And we're here at the Halloween episode of the best movie podcast ever. Do you have any... this is going to be another peek behind the curtain, listeners. We're recording this a little bit in advance, so Anthony might not have an answer to this, and I don't want you to judge him too harshly if he doesn't, because I don't know the answer to this question. Do you have any plans for Halloween?
Yes, every year. Well, we haven't had one for the last year or two, I think, because of the old big bad Coverino. But what I'm going to be doing this next week, I think it's probably the weekend of Halloween, I think, 30th or 31st, we'll be doing our weekly Halloween party. And that involves all the kids from all of the different families within my connection coming together and dunking for apples. Don't know how much that'll be happening because of the old Coverino. But we'll be doing lots of fun games. You know,
You could dunk for apples if the barrel is full of alcohol gel rather than water.
That is true, actually, yes. Or just pretend there's water there. Just
a pile of apples.
Yeah, just dunk for apples in the fruit bowl. So we'll be doing that sort of thing. We'll probably pin the water on the witch. I don't know. I just made that up top of my head. Probably that. But it's always good fun. Yeah, I love a good family Halloween party. What about you, Konrad?
I'm going to a friend. I'm moving city literally the next week, so I'm going to a party with all my friends over here, and it's a BoJack Horseman / Disney themed party. So I'm going as I know it's a bizarre theming. So I'm going as Mr. Cuddly Whiskers from BoJack Horseman, who is like a guru hamster man, which suits
I've seen
me down
BoJack Horseman. I like that show. I'm going to be honest with you.
I've tried to tell my partner. My partner doesn't know what she's going as. I keep telling her to go as the spider lady who's always talking in very sexually explicit terms with Mr. Cuddly Whiskers. She refuses to do it. So we're going to be completely mismatched, which is a cardinal sin in the couple's Halloween costume department.
Well, that's fine. You don't have to go as a couple, but I will say Disney is a wide range of costumes these days. Like you could go, let's see, Old Yeller is one. You could go, you go as Buzz Lightyear.
Is that pre or post shooting of the Old Yeller for the Halloween costume? It's Old Yeller with a bullet hole in the back of its head.
It is. Oh no, you just go as the guy with the gun.
Be great.
Old Yeller. But there's plenty.
The worst monster.
There's so much you could do with Disney theme these days. Like, is it specifically Disney like animation studios. Like, Disney is such a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could go as like Han Solo and be like, well, it's Disney, I guess. Like
Walt Disney.
Oh, go as Walt Disney. Yeah, he was a nightmare person. I'll go as
exactly. Frozen.
Notorious anti-Semite.
Yeah, frozen in carbonite, I think.
Oh, I hope not. If anyone was going to be, it would be him, though. Just his head frozen in a jar like Richard Nixon in Futurama.
Right, let me just say this before you go on. The freezing of Walt Disney, let me put a pin in this. Now, I want to know the science behind this, because I have to argue this with pupils at work all the time. For some reason, they just cannot accept that Walt Disney is not frozen, or that he won't come back to life one day. And I will say about this, someone answer this question. Surely if they come up with a way of freezing human beings, right, then they must have to inject them with something to make it so that they can be brought back. I mean, if you just put yourself in a freezer in 1940, you're not coming back. Can we all say that? Can we all say it? You're not coming back. You have to probably have the process developed before you actually freeze. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I've seen the movie Austin Powers, and the science in that movie clearly proves your theory wrong, to be honest. He comes back. I don't think he's injected with anything. He has something extracted from him by needle in the second one. His mojo goes missing. But yeah, there was nothing involved in that. It was just pop him in the freezer, out he comes in 100 years' time. I suppose
you're right there, actually. So according to the documentary Austin Powers and the Spy Who Shagged Me, that is true. So, yeah,
do you know something very depressing? Well, we'll get into the movie in a second, listeners, all right? Just settle down. Okay?
It's Halloween. We're having fun.
I heard, I haven't actually done the maths on this, so don't fact check me, please. But someone said to me the other day that if Austin Powers was released today, he would be cryogenically frozen in like 1996, which is just the most upsetting thing I've ever heard.
That is strange. When you start thinking about things like that, it is very strange. Like, what the hell? It was only 2 days ago, I think, that we were talking about it's the day that Marty McFly went forward in the future to, and now we're sitting here like 6 years later. What happened to that time?
Yeah, it is depressing. It is depressing. Time stops for no man. Is what I'm finding as my body atrophies to dust. I tell you what we're gonna do though. We're gonna go back in time now to when the English speaking world didn't really know what slasher movies were. Psycho had kind of set the table in 60... I can't remember when Psycho came out. 60-something. Psycho had set the table. Then you had Black Christmas in 1974. It might have been... I think it was early 60s for Psycho. So you had Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock, very, very famous. That kind of started the idea of a slasher movie. Then you had Black Christmas in 1974, which was a Canadian horror movie that picked up some ideas from the Italian giallo horror subgenre, which I'm a massive fan of. But Friday the 13th, when this movie that we're going to talk about came out, Friday the 13th and the dawn of the 80s smash hit horror series was still 2 years away. That came out in 1980. The bridge to that was John Carpenter's Halloween, and that's what we're here to talk about. And I'm just going to lead off here and say this is one of my favourite horror movies of all time, and I think there's going to be some arguments in this next section. So let's just dive right into it. Anthony, this is the second time you've seen Halloween, is that right?
Second time. I watched it last year for the first time, I believe. I can't remember if you recommended it. I'm sure you recommended it to me, but I remember wanting to watch some more of the older horrors. I probably made a mistake on my second choice, so I went Halloween first, which, to be honest with you, it is what it is. But I then went and watched a much more superior film, Children of the Corn.
That is outrageous. That what he's just said there, ladies and gentlemen. That would have you cast out of my house if that was said within my home.
So Children of the Corn, the performance of that little main fella, unbelievable. But that quenched my thirst in terms of classic horror, to be honest with you.
Classic horror.
I didn't watch anymore.
Children of the Corn came out in 1992. It's not even classic.
I think we were just talking about Austin Powers being frozen in 96.
That's true. Fair point. It's all relative.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to go down. I'm going to run down the list here. So, Halloween, 1978, is directed by John Carpenter, written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. John Carpenter got paid $10,000 for doing this. There was like no budget for this at all. Basically, the producer, who I can never remember his name, but he came to John Carpenter and was like, "We want to make a movie kind of about like." It's like Black Christmas. It's about a bunch of like babysitters getting murdered. And John Carpenter and his girlfriend at the time, Deborah Hill, wrote this. John Carpenter did the score. There was like no money going around. So it's starring Donald Pleasance, who's great as Dr. Harold Loomis. He was the highest paid actor on this. Any guesses as to how much he got paid for this movie?
I think I cheated for this one. I think I actually did read that he got paid like 20 grand or 25 grand.
It was 20 grand. He was the highest paid actor on the movie. They were asking Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee whether they wanted to do it, and both of them were like, "I'm not doing this for 20 grand." Like,
although apparently Christopher Lee regrets it now.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he does. I mean, he got his in the end. You know, he did his Hammer horror Dracula stuff, and then he became Saruman the White, and all was forgiven. Jamie Lee Curtis, this was I think her debut role, and she got paid like $5,000 for this
debut film role. I think she was in a TV series before this. Yeah,
but it was a very very young, inexperienced cast, a lot of like fresh ideas coming to this, and essentially it tells the story. I mean, right off the bat, we get the point of view shot of Michael Myers as what is revealed to be a young boy as he stalks his sister and her boyfriend, who are engaged in some hanky-panky. I don't know. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think in that opening scene that they have the quickest sexual experience that anyone has ever had? Because they're sort of kissing on the sofa, and then they're like, "Do you want to go upstairs?" And they're like, "Ooh, yeah." And then they walk upstairs, and the boyfriend comes downstairs literally like 15 seconds later. It's unbelievable how fast they're done.
Yeah, well, are they? Do you think they are definitely done, or?
Well, I mean, the boyfriend's leaving, and like in these kind of movies, why? Well, the boyfriend's not going to leave until he gets his rocks off. Well,
yeah, okay. Well, then that makes me judge that man tremendously. I will say, the kid should have killed him on the way out. But I think I don't know. That is weird, actually. Now that you say that, I didn't notice that. That wasn't one of the critiques.
It always bothers me in this. I'm just like, what has gone on there? Like, they go upstairs, do a bit of kissing, and then he's just like, "See ya," and walks back downstairs like 15 seconds later. Unrealistic. But so we get the point of view shot, which is a very, very like. It was done in movies before this. I believe it was done in Psycho. It's been a while since I've watched Psycho, but I think the Janet Leigh murder is done from the point of view of Norman Bates at various points. Interesting fact: Janet Leigh is Jamie Lee Curtis's mother. We'll get into that a bit later. So Michael Myers murders his sister, has the mask taken off, revealed to be a little kid. There's your killer. How did you find the intro this second time round? I remember you saying you found it a bit like slow.
The first time I watched it, I was like, to be honest, I was all over the place because I knew Michael Myers was the bad guy before watching the film, and whenever it was revealed that this kid was Michael, I was like, hang on, what the fuck's going on? Like,
it's like a Goonies kind of thing.
Yeah, like what? Why is he evil? Like, why is Michael Myers evil? Yeah, he just is.
Yeah, he's just a force of evil. Like, maybe he's supernatural, maybe he's not. He's just a bloody awful man, is what he is.
He's just an
awful boy.
He's just an awful man. I didn't mind. Like, the second time around, I didn't like. There was nothing of note that I didn't like. I like the point of view shot. I like how it's through the mask. I like that idea. I think they actually as well were like toying with the idea instead of it was either going to be like the sort of, is it a William Shatner mask?
It is a William Shatner mask, yeah.
Yeah, William Shatner mask or a clown mask. They were going to go for either of the two. And then I like the idea that, isn't he a clown as a child? So they went with that for the child, yeah.
Yeah, he's dressed as a clown when he murders his sister.
I don't know why he's murdering his sister. I imagine that there's something seedy going on. Obviously something evil
I think she's having sex rather than looking after him, which I think is enough. With Michael Myers, he doesn't really have motivations. He's just this sort of elemental force of evil who just kills everything in his path. I think I will say for this movie, because I watched this movie when I was quite young, and I had like almost like a notoriety built up around it, because my dad told me about this scene where you can hear the Blue Oyster Cult's "Don't Fear the Reaper" playing, and I had this idea in my head of what Halloween was before I saw it, and I loved it. But I think that of all joking aside, this is a very slow movie, and I totally get why anyone who's kind of used to the more even later in the 80s, the more kind of faster paced, more, I guess, action-packed horror that we would eventually get. I think this is a movie that it definitely still has some qualities to it that I love, but I think it has to be judged in the context of when it was made to some extent.
Oh, definitely, and I think that maybe because as well I've seen like trailers and stuff for newer ones that I haven't actually seen the films, but I've seen what they've done in a way with the newer versions of Halloween, that when we went all the way back to this one, don't get me wrong, I understand the importance of it in terms of building tension and stuff, and I it does feel to me like a sort of a watershed moment for this sort of thing, but I knew it was going to happen, and I felt that that it just, the characters made stupid fucking choices. It's almost like it was an argument for, virgins are supreme. The only way to beat Michael Myers is to not be, preoccupied with trying to have sex with someone.
I mean, that is true. That will distract you. Although, interestingly, John Carpenter's actually come out and been like, no, it's not supposed to be punishing the sexually active. He's just depicting what he thinks they get up to.
What he thinks. He's admitting to himself that he's not sexually active.
Yeah, I guess so. That's probably why him and Deborah Hill eventually split up. Clearly,
it's only 15 seconds. That's why.
Listen, it's enough for some people. Clearly, imagine if that's what he wrote when he was writing the script. He and Deborah Hill wrote this together, and he was writing down, so they go up and have sex, and he comes down 15 seconds later. You see Deborah Hill in the corner of the room just shaking her head, just I can't stay with this man.
Yeah. That was
he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand sexual gratification of a woman in the slightest. But okay, so he has disputed that, but at the same time, it's undeniable that the person in this movie, admittedly, only 3 people die in this movie. Well, that's not true. 3 people in the main killing spree die in this movie.
Yeah.
But the one who doesn't die, or the adult who doesn't die, is the one who is kind of the virginal one, who is kind of not sexually repressed, because she says she's interested in a boy, Ben Wyatt. No, it's not Ben Wyatt. It's Ben Tramer. That's who she says she's interested in. But she is more pure, I guess, than the others. So we see Michael Myers escape. You get a brilliant Harold Loomis, I guess, monologue where he's talking to the nurse when they go to pick up Michael Myers, and he just, Donald Pleasance just has the best fucking voice. He's just, some of the things he says in this movie, they don't sound, he doesn't read lines like anyone else reads lines. He has the weirdest intonation ever. But Michael Myers escapes and heads back to Illinois, where he will try to return home, which he does eventually, and unfortunately leads him into the path of Laurie Strode, who goes and knocks on the door of his home to prove that there's no curse on it, and draws his attention. So the one thing the first thing I wanted to get your impression of in terms of the Illinois section of this movie is Dean Cundy is the director of photography for this movie and for the second one, and I love the way he shoots the kind of autumnal Illinois. I think the photography in this movie is really beautiful. Did it work for you, or did that kind of mesh into the whole it feeling a bit underwhelming and boring?
Well, I think that this film wasn't actually filmed in the autumn, so they did a good. To be honest with you,
I don't think it was.
They did a good job of making it seem autumnal, even if it wasn't. I think like all the trees were green, but apart from that, it did like it was as I said, I liked the point of view shot. I think it was a well considered film. I didn't I wasn't disinterested in the actual visual of the film. As well as that, like, there's a couple of nice shots, like, sort of when it's very dark and across the road to the houses and stuff. I thought they were able to portray quite a lot with very little lighting, we'll say, sometimes. And I didn't dislike that aspect of the film. I didn't hate this film. I didn't hate this film, and I think I think going into it the second time, I think the second time, knowing how slow a burn it was, it allowed me to sort of enjoy it a little bit more, maybe than I would have last year when I watched it the first time. Having said that, though, yeah, I think the actual cinematography of it was good, but I also like the actual shot composition and stuff. So like I like the the moment at the start where they're walking up to the hedges and like it's not revealing what's. Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of not revealing much. And then whenever she finally walks up and there's nothing there on the other side, I thought that scene was really well done in terms of the way that the camera was set up and stuff. So there is a lot to be said for the way this film was shot. But yeah,
I think the moment where, or the sequence where Laurie's friend Annie, who is babysitting a little girl, where I think she gets like butter all over herself or something, and she has to go like wash her shirt, which for a start is incredibly wasteful. The fact that she's like, I'm just going to go put a load of laundry on for this one shirt that needs cleaning, rather than just being like, I'll pop this shirt on and just wear dirty clothes until, midnight when I can go home. But she's like making her way around this little laundry outhouse that the family she's looking after the kid for own, and you see like Michael Myers in like the windows and stuff, and he's just stalking her really slowly. I love that stuff. So this is the big question for you then. That stuff, when I was a kid, that stuff really creeped me out. The idea that Michael Myers is always there and always coming for you. Did you find this like scary at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Not at all. In fact, there were moments where I laughed at certain parts.
Yeah.
Was I supposed to laugh whenever he was wearing a sheet with the glasses of that guy? Is that
that bit
funny?
Is definitely a joke. That's a great joke. That bit.
Yeah.
So when you get to the middle section of this movie, and Michael Myers has like basically been stalking Laurie and her babysitter friends, and it's set up. Laurie is in one house babysitting a young boy. Her friend Annie is in another house babysitting a young girl, and their other friend Linda will turn up later to have sex with her boyfriend Tommy after Annie has been killed going over to meet her boyfriend. So Annie is strangled and then has her throat slit in the car, and then Linda turns up and has sex with her boyfriend. Boyfriend gets stabbed downstairs in a scene that is still pretty jumpy, I think, when he reveals himself in the dark kitchen and strangles him and then stabs him. I don't
understand the decision. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand the decision to have him being held up straight against the wall with a knife in the stomach. That was a real like took me out of it moment. Like
well, you just don't think the knife would hold him.
Well, even if it did hold him, he would slump over. Like it's not the wall isn't sloped like an angle down backwards. Like it's a vertical wall. You stab someone in the stomach into the wall, their shoulders and head are going to flop forward.
Yeah, I suppose I haven't actually looked at how they did the practical effect for that, but I wonder if he is literally pinned up by his shoulders or something.
He might be actually strapped to the wall, and it to me, I was like looking at it thinking, I wouldn't be happy with that if I was the director. I wouldn't be happy with the way that looks. It just looked a little bit too, I don't know, like.
All right, it's not passing muster. Not passing the Anthony muster for practical effects.
No,
it's
one.
fair.
Yeah.
It is fair. It's not. I mean. It does for me. I think at that time it looked great, but again, I think the argument that you have to judge this in the time it was made only gets you so far. Because if you don't enjoy the movie, then it's like judging it in the context of when it's made doesn't help you that much.
Just stab in the chest. If it is stabbed in the chest, like a little half a foot up, and it would have made physical sense to me. Like I just didn't understand.
Well, they had to get it. They had to get it under the arm. Like that was almost certainly.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's weird, because like him being pinned up against the wall is more realistic than last week with Hereditary, with someone on the roof upside down banging their head against the roof.
Yeah, but
I believed Hereditary more. Hereditary more.
Yeah, I mean the physics of witches and demons are far more inconsistent, so we just allow them to do whatever the fuck they want. Okay, so yeah, Michael Myers kills Tommy, and then it is a brilliant joke. I don't care what anyone says. If you don't laugh at that scene, you're not a human. When Michael Myers turns up with a sheet over his head and Tommy's glasses while Linda talks on the phone, just amazing. It still makes me laugh to this day.
I don't get it. What's he doing? Like,
I don't.
funny.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense why Michael Myers is like, I know what's going to work here. Like,
why would he not just walk in and kill her? Like, at the same time, like, I'm happy for the joke. It was funny. It was funny.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, it's almost like it's Halloween, a proper serious scary film, and scary movie for 2 minutes of it.
Yeah.
It's like why wasn't Charlie Sheen there?
Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah, Leslie Nielsen turns up briefly as president.
Yeah,
that would have been good. He was around in 1978. That would have made this a better movie. Linda eats it while Laurie listens to her being strangled on the phone and assumes it's her making a joke and calling her while she's in the middle of having sex. Which, to be fair,
sounded like it.
It sounded like it. She wasn't making very convincing death noises. And then we're into the end game, so to speak. And this is where I wanted to talk to you about. So, do you know the concept of the final girl? Have you ever heard of this concept?
No, but I can guess what it is. Should I guess?
Yeah, go on, guess. Let's see how close to it you get.
So the idea is like it's like the final girl in the horror is like the one who I don't know how to like make this more detailed than literally just saying that, but I imagine it's.
I mean, you basically got it. To be fair,
and I think that the final girl is usually the most pure in inverted commas.
I mean that kind of became the case as your Friday the 13th and stuff took what Halloween did and ran with it. But yeah, so your final girl is literally. It's almost always a woman. That was the trope that was established by, or the trend that was established by Halloween. And after everyone's been killed, it comes down to the girl and the killer. And the girl runs around, normally discovers the bodies of everyone that's been killed. There's a couple of jump scares. I mentioned it last week in the Hereditary episode. And then there's some physical altercations. And normally the girl gets away, although not before a couple of final scares. Jamie Lee Curtis, one of the most interesting little facts about this is that Janet Leigh, who is the woman murdered in the shower in Psycho, is Jamie Lee Curtis's mother. And although Janet Leigh is not a final girl because she dies in the first half an hour of Psycho, spoilers for those of you who haven't seen Psycho, though I don't know how anyone could possibly not be aware that Janet Leigh dies in Psycho. And Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of your proto final girl. She is the one who set the trend for this, and I think she's still a really good final girl. How did you find Jamie Lee Curtis in this? Because I know some people are a bit iffy on her.
My first ever sort of film, my first exposure to Jamie Lee Curtis was in the film True Lies. And could you ever see a better introduction to any character than through that film? Because that's
a solid introduction to Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes.
I mean, that film, I actually have a really special place in my heart for that film. I like it. So this is the first time I saw her as like a young woman in something. She was okay. Like I thought she was good. I thought she was fine. It interests me to hear that people are questioning her performance in a way, or saying that she wasn't a good final girl, if that's the way you say it. I think I wouldn't have questioned her performance whatsoever. I think she did a good job, and I think that she played her part as well as she could have.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think the thing that people, at least the people I have heard question about her is. How all action she is, which is ridiculous, I think, because I think what they actually mean is normally you'll get like the final girl running around, often through the rain, often wearing a white t-shirt, if the Friday the 13th movies are to be taken as canon for this. But in her case, there's a little bit less of that, which I actually like, and I also think she's incredibly competent, which I always love for a final girl. She kills essentially Michael Myers twice, once by stabbing him in the neck with a knitting needle, and then once by stabbing him in the chest, which, you know, as far as horror movies go, if you manage to get, I know she's not the one who ultimately sort of puts Michael Myers down at the end of this movie, which I think a few people have a slight issue with, but the fact that she manages to put him down temporarily twice with wounds that would kill a normal person is pretty good going, I think.
Well, everything you've just said, I think you're exactly right. It is good going, and I thought she did well to do that. But I will say, everything you've just explained to me makes me think that those people who question Jamie Lee Curtis's character in this film are just those idiots who talk about Mary Sue's.
Oh, almost certainly. Yes.
Yeah,
The Mary Sue is one of those expressions that I just wish didn't exist because anyone who uses it as a criticism doesn't seem to know what it actually means.
So the idea is that this guy who killed someone as a child and then was in mental institutions and jail his whole life couldn't be stabbed by a woman. Why not?
Yeah.
Laurie
Strode is such a Mary Sue. All right, how would she know to stab him in the neck with a knitting needle?
I don't know. How does she have that knowledge? This is a woman in the 70s.
We need to see her training to stab a man in the neck.
She was supposed to be in typewriter class. Why does she know about science?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, we've got to talk about it. There's an elephant in this room, Anthony, and I think you know what it is. How did you feel about the Undertaker sit-up in this movie?
Well, this is where the Undertaker got it from.
Yeah, it's where he stole it from. Undertaker and Kane, they both took it from this. So
yeah, Kane took it from the Undertaker. He was a parody of the parody.
That's true.
Well, Michael Myers, I have to say, it's probably the original. It's good. I will say that this is funny. It's not meant to be funny, but we talk about things. I laughed at some things I probably shouldn't have. John Carpenter's score at the end, the sit-up happens, right? And then, the next time he's just gone, right?
Yeah.
And when he's just gone, the music that starts, whatever, I just burst out laughing.
The music from the beginning. It's
because I don't know.
It's so good.
It's just. Yeah, it just felt like, I don't know why, I think I'm just ruined by the internet. It just felt like, like a TikTok or something,
It almost certainly has, but let us know in the comments if the John Carpenter Halloween theme is available on TikTok. I'm sure it is. Interestingly enough, actually, so John Carpenter tended to write a lot of the music for his own movies. So he did it for this, he did it for Escape from New York. I think he did it for Assault on Precinct 13 as well. And he was basically trying to capture Tubular Bells from The Exorcist?
Yes.
So he's basically trying to capture that in this. And I do agree, John Carpenter, his music has a charm to it that I think you're either ride or die, you're either ride or die, or you just hate with John Carpenter, because you can hear him hunched over a Casio keyboard in a spare bedroom, just
yes, I know exactly.
And Deborah Hill shouting up dinner's ready, and he's like, just give me a minute, and there's there's no sort of grandiosity to
rewind.
DJ.
DJ.
That's how I feel like if modern students don't have those keyboards with the button that shouts DJ, what are they even teaching in schools? What are they learning?
Exactly. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was what John Carpenter was making this music on, and I love it, but I think it's iconic, but at the same time it does conjure that image, and it's impossible to get away from that. I think
I did like the score. Don't get me wrong, I like John Carpenter's music, but I think in that moment it was so loud as well. It's the mix of it in the film. It was like and his body's gone, and then it goes back to Donald Pleasance, who's just like. And then he comes
Laurie Strode's that was the boogeyman, and Donald Pleasance just, as a matter of fact, it was.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, this is this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I laughed actually out of I was endeared by it. I was endeared by it. I will say.
I mean, at least you're finding it entertaining. Better that than boring, I guess. So okay, we're gonna have to come down to it. I've feared this moment. I've delayed for as long as I possibly can. I've put it off for as long as I can, but we're going to have to come down for a rating. What would you give... This isn't your first time watching this, but second time watching, what would you give Halloween?
I didn't rate it last time.
It has to be honest. Don't just give it a rating for my benefit. You've got to stay consistent with this.
No, I'll be honest. I'm going to give it 3 star.
Okay. I'll take that.
You thought, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, for me, this is a 5-star absolute banger of a movie. I will watch this any day of the week. I love it. I mean, based on where you were with your first viewing, I think if we get you to watch this another 10 times, by the 10th one, we might be up to a 4-star. We'll see.
No. I'm sure at some point we will watch this in person together, and I will appreciate it a lot more. I'm sure that will happen.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, that's going to do it, I think, for our Halloween discussion this spooky season, which leads us, as it always does, to answer one simple question, and that is, Anthony, what is your favourite movie this week?
DJ. Now, it's got to be callback. It's got to be Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. I think Heather Graham.
Is that the first one or the second one?
Second one. The first one, Austin Powers.
It's just Austin Powers, right? International Man of Mystery. I think.
International Man of Mystery. Yeah, that's the one with them. That's the one. Well, the second one is the one where his mojo's stolen.
Yeah.
But the first one, he does get frozen, and that's the one, penis enlarger pump.
Yeah. That's the lemon sherbet one, which is Christian Slater's one of his greatest roles. I'm going to say Halloween. I stand for Halloween. I'm ride or die for John Carpenter. But that's going to do it for us for this Halloween season. We've made it through. Anthony, you made it through. No more spooky movies for a little while. I've had my fill. So you can have a rest, your heart can relax, and just leaves me to say thank you to Nancy Wyatt and Jared Iscariot for the use of our theme song. You can find links to their stuff down in the description below. And thank you to you for listening. We really do appreciate it. Please consider subscribing. We're the best movie podcast ever on podcasting apps, and we are the Culture Cave on YouTube. And if you can get involved in the comments, let us know what you've been watching. Give the show a like, it really does help. And we will see you same time, same place next week.
And cut.